hello again, everybody. Lance Russell and Dave Brown right along ringside. By golly, we're about ready to go with more big action.
Thank you very much, and welcome to Georgia Championship Wrestling. I'm Gordon Solie, your host, and we have quite an hour in store for us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Championship Wrestling at ringside. This is Vince McMahon, along with wrestling's only living legend, Bruno Sammartino.
Welcome to this week's edition of Mid-South Wrestling Television. I'm your host, Boyd Pierce, another outstanding card.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Regional Rasslin Podcast, where we talk the territories. I am Ray Russell, and this week we jump back into Memphis from 1985. Going to talk more about Bota the Witchdoctor, Tom Branch, Big John Harris, and all the good stuff. Air quotes around good stuff going on right now in the world of Memphis 1985. And in order to do that, got to bring back on special guest for the Memphis Project. Here he is, the one and only Mr. Gene Jackson. Welcome back to the show, man.
All right. It's time to talk some more Memphis 85 as we plow through kind of a rough patch. I've got several people telling me like, man, I can't wait till y'all get to this and can't wait till y'all get to that. And I'm like, well, we can't either because, boy, it's rough right now. But
I get so excited every time I think, oh, man, I can't wait to get back and do some more Memphis. And then I pull up my notes and I go, oh, yeah. So that's kind of where we are right now in the world of Memphis wrestling. But it does get good. It gets worse before it gets better, as they say, right? And so we're going to see that happen here, likely, maybe. We'll have to wait and see how they can't possibly get any worse. We say that every week. And so we'll see what happens here this week. But before we get to another week of July in 1985, we got to go back in time and talk about last week in the Memphis territory, Gene. Southern champion Bota the Witchdoctor was back in the studio carrying a giant tiki torch to the crowd's amusement. They literally laughed at him.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure they pictured like, oh man, this freaking Bota is going to come out there with a tiki torch. He's all made up and everything. He looks like a wild, just absolute wild man.
Savage.
People like, look at this dipshit.
Only one savage, huh? And it is not Bota. Yeah, Tiki Torch O'Doom just did not get over with the crowd. A couple people pointed and laughed. Most of them made no noise at all, but Bota is still the champion, so we're going to roll with that for right now. We also saw the debut of Mountain Man, Big John Harris, who we learned he eats everybody's food. He can pick up baby cows, and he has a very limited vocabulary.
And he can pick up Jerry Jarrett and Tojo Yamamoto as well, as long as there's a fence behind him that you don't pay much attention to. But quite the talker, that guy.
Yep. Yup. Not much to the guy. I mean, he's an awkwardly built fellow too, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a big tree. You know what I mean? Like he's tall, and that's about it. And I remember once he popped up on here that a few of the territories, I guess, just heard. I think it was probably Rib. They were playing on. Like, dude, we got this guy. He's freaking nearly 8 foot tall. You won't believe it. He draws like a mofo. And then he gets there and like, can you wrestle? Yep. Can you talk? Yep. They're like,
what exactly do you mean by wrestle exactly, Jerry? So yeah, he goes through Dallas, he goes through Vern. Vince McMahon signs him up there for a little bit, I believe in 87-ish or so. There's a tryout match. I really hope that comes to the light of day on the WWE Vault, because he gets a tryout match with the WWF. The story goes, Vince signed him for a few months simply so nobody else could take him, until Vince realized that nobody was going to take him. And then that was pretty much the end of his wrestling career, I believe.
Yeah. Like I remember him turning up in Texas briefly, and Vince ribbed himself on that one. Like, yeah, I'll lock him down where nobody else can get him. And then everybody's like, yeah, we didn't want him. Good job, pal. And
well, I would have liked to have seen, like I said, hopefully that dark match makes the light of day. I hope that's one of the ones they preserved, because that I would love to see him in a WWF ring. My goodness. But right now he's here in Memphis, at least sometimes. Another guy who made his recent return to the company, no stranger to the Tennessee territory, he's talking about Phil Hickerson, claimed the international title by defeating Terry Taylor Jackson, Tennessee, I believe last weekend. Perhaps Big Phil's bone for trying to help Tom Branch get over in recent weeks. We saw Lawler versus Branch and Hickerson. And I feel like maybe Phil was just kind of a stopgap here, maybe for whatever they're going to do with the belt. Not really sure. We're going to find out what they do with the belt this week. But Phil, yeah, he's done what was asked of him. He's been a very good employee, and so he gets a bone here.
I always liked Phil Hickerson and found him entertaining. P.Y. Chuha was even a bit much for me as a teenager, but I liked him back in these days. And I figure it's just like, hey, we can get a booking on Terry Taylor. Let's get that damn international belt off of him, because how much longer are our fans in Memphis going to buy that he's off touring
the world,
defending this god-awful looking belt that he's got? So, yeah, let's slap it on Phil, and we'll figure something out.
Well, they do figure something out. Spoiler alert, we'll find out what that is this week. Gene, I think you're going to be surprised, and I'll leave that there for right now. But we talked about Hickerson teaming with Tom Branch for no apparent reason recently. And speaking of Tom, his feud with Jerry Lawler raged on into last Monday night, first blood match at the Mid-South Coliseum, in which Lawler won said match. So hopefully the King can move on to some new things. And Tom Branch, well, hopefully he can just move on.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to make a case, like if anybody's like, well, how was 85? Like, well, in July of 85, Bota the Witchdoctor was a Southern heavyweight champion, and Jerry Lawler was feuding with Tom Branch. Yeah, do you really need to say any more beyond that? I mean, that pretty much, does it get any worse than that is my and again, I don't want to tempt fate. I'm not putting a challenge out to the universe to make our lives hell, because we've had plenty of that on here already. But if this ain't rock bottom, I'm scared to see what it's going to be, Ray.
No, we've had some ebbs and flows, and yes, the Randy Savage run when Ernesto first got here and started pushing Randy, it was a bright spot for us. But in general, from the very beginning, it's been a terrible year for Jerry Jarrett and crew. From the multiple weeks of terrible weather, remember all the winter storms, the ice storms, the snowstorms, the below sub, the temperatures. It was a bad winter here in 1985 Memphis, and it's followed up by some really bad booking. And Sweet Daddy Siki coming in at age 72, and Cyclops, he's got one eye, but like no legs, right? Because he couldn't even move. And that's no disrespect. Cyclone Negro was a hell of a worker, but this is not it in 1985.
Yeah, and then they managed to find out that something no other territory ever capitalized on, because I guess maybe nobody else knew. But we find out that Ray Candy is a comedian level.
Oh my goodness! How could I forget?
Humorous guy. And so what do? We ship him out of here. As soon as we get that figured out, boom, he's gone. It's like, damn it. At least we could have laughed with Ray Candy when all this other awful mess was happening.
He could have had his own show legit, I feel like, here, had he stuck around. But, usually I have an entire page of notes to run down from last week in the Memphis territory. This week, it was such an eventful episode last time around. 5 notes is all I have, Gene, and we're going to wrap this up right here with last week. I do believe we have seen the final episode of TV featuring one Leslie Floyd Creatchman III. So it'll be interesting to see what is next in the long line, or whom is next in the long line of, well, let's face it, Jimmy Hart replacements.
Well, there's one prayer answered at least. One down and a few more to go. But boy, I tell you what, we've talked about it, that we have seen some bad managers, come through Memphis over the years, from way back when all the way to the Corey Backlund Rhythm and Blues days. But Creatchman may be the worst of the worst. Like, give me Nate the Rat, Kenny D,
Boss
any
Winters.
Of those guys.
You like Boss
Winters?
Oh wow!
Give me Boss Winters and Rough and Ready before Creatchman. I mean, honestly, and that's a big. If people know who those guys are, they realize what a statement that is to make. That I'll stand by that.
I don't know how Leslie would have translated up there in the Montreal territory, being French Canadian things. Maybe he was a step above what we see here, but he speaks very fluent English. He sounds perfectly fine out there. It's just he's terrible at whatever his shtick was supposed to be. Nobody seemed to. They weren't on the same page. No, from the word go, and it never. That first week we saw him, and the gimmicks was conflicting, and I thought, all right. So Lawler or Jerry Jarrett or Ernesto, somebody's going to sit everybody down and go, okay, I don't care if we got to flip a coin.
if we got to draw straws, or if y'all got to go fight in the parking lot, we need to figure out today what his gimmick is, and let's all be on the same page, and let's all refer to it that way. That never happens.
Well, that Leslie is no more here in the Memphis territory, but we're going to hear all about Mr. Creatchman this week on TV. I'm looking forward to getting to that and a whole lot more. But in order to do that, we're going to kick things off. It's Saturday morning, Championship Wrestling here for July 13th in 1985. And away we go, WMC TV5 Studios, more Championship Wrestling. This is the Louisville feed that we have, so it's only 60 minutes rather than 90, so a few things missing here. We don't know what they are, but we do know that Lance Russell is right along ringside. No Dave Brown. Dave Brown on vacation this week, we learned, but he'll be back next week. So we're already off to a tremendous start, and that's no disrespect to Lancer. He can hold the show all on his own. We know that. But I just feel like everything we got going on wrong right now in Memphis, and now we're down one announcer.
Yeah, don't you know, Lance was like, oh, come on.
There goes my cigarette break.
And I'm going to need them. I might even need a different kind of cigarette, if you know what I mean, Dave.
Oh, those funny cigarettes.
That's right.
Give me a cig of weed. Oh, my. Lance Russell. I can't imagine. Wow, that would be... my goodness. Oh.
Well, Lance Russell high on weed might be a new character you'll have to invent.
Oh, yeah. Then I'll really get some other podcasters of the ilk trashing me and my comedy bits here on a serious territory wrestling talk show, Gene. So.
That's right. Them historians will put you in your place.
Well, we kick the show off. How else do you kick off a serious Memphis wrestling TV program with the song Walking on Sunshine? Whoa! By Katrina and the Waves. We're going to see some clips of some of the talent involved here today on the TV, including Jerry Lawler himself, the Fabulous Ones. The Sheepherders apparently are going to be here, along with Bota the Witchdoctor, the trio of Ron Sexton, Billy Travis, and Buddy Wayne Bearer. Tojo Yamamoto and Jerry Jarrett all here today. No clips of Big John Harris, though. So after his debut last week, apparently we're going to follow up this week with no Big John in studio.
That's one thing about it. You knew when you didn't see clips of someone, they were awful. Like in 91, that Dragon Master guy who also could almost pass for Big John in a freaking black robe and a mask, big dragon, Ricky Steamboat's dragon mask from the Clash of the Champions return. He won the unified title and was a champion for a week. And you saw like a 15-second clip where all you see is him being Lawler getting tripped and that guy covered in Burt Prentice like climbing on top of Lawler's legs. And that's all they showed of him winning the title. And you saw nothing of him losing the title.
Well, you know, it is what it is here. We got Big John Harris. We may hear about Big John throughout this episode, though, so we're going to have to stay tuned for that. We've got some returns coming. We got a lot of interesting things going on this week, so we're going to jump right into the action, go to the ring, and see the tag team of Terry Adonis and Bill Smithson, who Lance says is managed by Richard Lee, the Richard Lee, who would go on to manage the Moondogs later on. We know Richard would pop in and out. More on that in just a minute here. Because their opponents are what Lance calls the Midnight Connection, no doubt given to him by Jerry Lawler and crew, because they are Jerry Garman and Benny Traylor, of course, men of color, black men, so they need a team name, so let's call them the Midnight Connection out here, taking on Terry Adonis and Bill Smithson, who are now rocking biker-clad gear, wrestling in jeans. So we got the new and improved, the new look Adonis and Smithson. Tell me something about those guys. What did you think of them?
Well, they weren't bad to be the step above jobber tag team where, they're not going to get in a push, but they aren't, out here to just get trounced either. It's ironic that Richard Lee is tied to this team because Smithson would go on to be a Moondog eventually. Right. So we're a little ahead of our time here. I've been meaning to do some research on Adonis.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him or where he ended up after this, but they're not a bad tag team for what they're here for.
No, they're trying to. They're like a Timu version of the Dirty White Boys out here in this getup. So Lance mentions Richard Lee is ringside. He's their manager. And I got to tell you, Gene, other than Lance saying it, I did not notice that throughout the entire match. I don't recall seeing anyone ringside. So either I totally just, it didn't catch my eye as I was covering the show, or Lance was given some false information. Do you recall when you watched this, if you saw Richard Lee actually at ringside for this one?
I never, and I was looking for him. It was like Richard Lee in 85, and I never saw him. So I'm guessing maybe Lance's paper had it on there, and maybe it was intended for Richard Lee to be out there. But no, I don't think he appeared because I was wanting to see if what he looked like here.
Yeah, in the mid-'80s, right? Yeah, I know.
He certainly didn't have the whistle yet because we'd have heard him out there.
Well, I know he winds up doing some outlaw things, and he is around the business even earlier than this time. But I've seen him in some old ads and things. So I know he was around, but I think it's like Boss Winder's just kind of wandering in and out. But yeah, he's announced, but he doesn't. You know who does show up, however, for this match? Phil Hickerson, going to join commentary. Says, what a party last night, Lance. I'm the new international champion, having beaten Terry Taylor back in Jackson last weekend. Meanwhile, in the ring, Benny Traylor in control early on, clearing the heels from the ring. Phil Hickerson not acknowledging the fact that there's a match in the ring, however, just putting himself over, to which Lance replies, Dave, where are you? So Lance looking for Dave Brown to save him right now. As Hickerson out here to do anything but mention there's a wrestling match in the ring. Russell does attempt to call the action as the heels take over, but the match is over just that quickly. Backdrop and knee drop from Terry Adonis. And I wrote in my notes, something ain't right here. Jerry Garman never tags in. Match goes a whopping 90 seconds. Terry Adonis getting the win after a backdrop and knee drop. And it just felt like, did somebody get hurt here? Like something happened. I'm not really sure. And then afterwards, the heel's going to beat on Traylor and Garman afterwards. And then Adonis with a couple of really stiff, you could hear them thudding forearm shots across Traylor's back. I don't know if that was like a warning shot. I'm not sure. I don't know. What did you make of it here?
Something went awry because that was my fault. It was like, all right, why would you trot Hickerson out here for a 90-second match?
Yeah.
He's just getting going good, and Lance is just now really getting into calling the match, and boom, it's over. So either somebody got hurt or somebody got mad and was like, no, we ain't doing this. We're ending this shit. And based on the stuff after the match, I'm thinking it may be more that. But then again, it's kind of ballsy for those two guys. We're just getting in Memphis, and they're both pretty new to pull a stunt like that on live Memphis TV.
Yeah, we've seen Adonis and Smithson in and out. They've done a lot of some of the rounds on the house shows of the last few weeks, but they haven't done a lot of TV. And now that they're back on TV and have a gimmick, feels like maybe they can use them moving forward as something more than just, another team on the loop. And then, like you said, it's kind of ballsy to be underneath like this and to go out there and make your own calls and take it home after this. But it was just a really random, weird finish. Again, Garmin never even tagged in, so just something really odd happened, peculiar finish to that match, but Smithson and Adonis will get the win, and I believe they're going to work Jarrett. No, that was last week. They worked Jarrett and Tojo, so we're going to have to see what they do this week, if they're at the Coliseum or not, but we're going to move on. Speaking of the Coliseum,
hey,
we'll
go
go
back. Quick before you move on, I'm sorry, but that does raise an interesting question, though, right? Mm-hmm. You pointed out this is the Louisville feed.
Yeah.
If this made the cut, what was worse that they cut out instead?
Oh, that's a good point. They seem to attempt to try to get all the matches on these 60-minute episodes, so maybe it was going to air no matter what happened. Yeah. But that's a good call, man. We could have put something. You got 30 minutes you shaved off. You could have easily replaced it with something that this awkward of a match between these two teams. And it's not even like these are two guys that were pulled off the street either, Garmin and Traylor. They were trained to some degree. They look halfway competent when they're in there, and they're certainly together. They know each other very well by this point already. So it's just really peculiar, the whole fallout there.
And they hang around Memphis for years because I was watching something from 87 recently, and they're all over that every week. So it's not like whatever this was on their end, and they were like, all right, those guys have got to go. I don't remember them being called the Midnight Connection much. I
don't think it lasts very long, but I did get a kick out of the generic tag team name. We needed to do that here. As I talked about upcoming Coliseums. We can go back to this past Monday. We're going to see a VTR in progress. The PYT taking on Ron Sexton and Billy Travis. Battle of the heel teams. So the PYT kind of playing the baby faces out there. Is Coco going to wear up and do a Ricky Morton roll, making the hot tag out to Norvell Austin, unloading on Sexton and Travis. High knee to Sexton, Travis in to break it up, the cover, and we get a 4-way melee from there. And that's when Buddy Wayne Bearer gets his fat ass involved with a cheap shot. Behind the referee's back, Buddy Wayne nailing Coco Ware. So I'm like, okay, well, the referee didn't see it. But then Buddy Wayne visibly climbs into the ring, and you can't miss him anyway, but walks in front of the official and attacks Norvell Austin. And Jerry Calhoun can see plain as day Buddy Wayne interfering in the ring, doesn't call for the bell. I wrote, I guess that's what Jerry Calhoun thinks of Buddy Wayne. It's like, hey, it's just Buddy Wayne and it don't mean much.
I mean, I've heard of like fans calling referees blind and offering their glasses and everything. But if I'm a fan out there, I'm like, how in the hell do you not see Buddy Wayne coming into the ring? Like, there's no way to play that off. But I don't know. This is interesting. As soon as this popped up on the screen, it's like, well, this is interesting because, Billy Travis was just recently I don't know if I'd say unofficially. I mean, he had the code. I think he was they gave him the glove. They gave him the coat. Yeah, he was pretty young in the thing. Yeah, absolutely. We talked about that. Absolutely. I think he was a PYT for like 2 weeks. Then they took it away from him. So that's an interesting aspect of this. Not that they played it up at all or even mentioned it, but makes it fun. But yeah, if I'm gonna have to pick a babyface team, if somebody's going to end up turning out of this, even though we've seen the PYTs do some rotten shit, in recent times, anybody who's got Buddy Wayne with them, they're going to be the heels. Sorry. Yeah. There's no getting around that.
I just got a kick out of the fact that he waited for the referee to turn his back before he attacked Coco, but then he literally walks into the middle of the ring in front of the referee and just starts attacking Norvell here. But there's no disqualification. So the match continues on. Coco Beware off the top rope, knocking Travis into Sexton, and makes the cover on Billy Joe. Coco Beware getting the 1-2-3 on the former member of the PYT. We only get about 90 seconds of the matchup here. Lance Russell, super confused on commentary as well there at ringside during this. Somebody should have told Lance the finish in advance, because Russell very confused why there was no disqualifications with all the interference that was going on.
That would happen from time to time.
I don't know what the fuck is going on out here. Where's David? Where's Dave?
Dave goes on vacation and everything goes to shit.
It went to shit weeks ago. That's why Dave went on vacation. Everything went to shit, I feel like, anyway. So.
We're lucky he didn't go on a permanent vacation. I mean, good grief.
Yeah, if he didn't work at that news station already, I don't know if Dave would have came back. We'll never. Well, we continue on. We get the action from the Mid-South Coliseum. We come back to the studio. We hear from Buddy Wayne, Ron Sexton, and Billy Travis here. And for the record, Travis and Sexton now in matching attire, akin to some of the dancers in the Beat It video. Not Michael Jackson like the PYT, though. The dancers. Yeah. Complete with the matching red headbands.
Yeah, it's quite the look. I wish Buddy would get one that matches them. That would be that trio there would be awesome.
Wow, a red headband on Buddy Wayne, that would have been.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Give me that big red. Give it to him. Buddy Wayne Bearer doing the classic heel shtick here, changing the story of what happened Monday night to benefit his men. He says the PYT were cheating all match long. I only came in after the pinfall, which clearly wasn't true based on the video we just saw. But Wayne stating that, here we go, the PYT, they're a good team, but they're cowards. Enter the PYT. They have overheard what Buddy Wayne has had to say about them, and out come Coco Ware, Norvell Austin. Buddy Wayne says that I got to put up $2,000 of my own money just to get a rematch for my men versus you, the PYT. Buddy Wayne doubling down, saying the The problem with the PYT is that people like them, is that you people, all of you want something for free. What are we doing, man?
Oh my goodness. Even for 85, there's been some things said here at one point by their own manager, Tux Newman, that make you just go, oh, come on, man. Like, what are we doing?
Well, Buddy Wayne with some comments, throwing some jabs. Coco Beware, not going to back down, says the only reason they gave Sexton and Travis a rematch was for the $2,000 because they done beat Travis and Sexton once. They got nothing left to prove by beating them again. So Buddy Wayne going to retort, says the PYT, they only want that $2,000 to help supplement the welfare y'all getting. God.
Every time Coco opens his mouth in 85, I'm sad that he's not already doing like the sing-song way of talking that he does as the Birdman later on.
Oh, yeah, let me tell you, you fat son of a bitch. I feel good.
Absolutely, man. I can see Coco.
I got your welfare, buddy.
I got your welfare right here.
No, man. Coco Beware. So, obviously, all these comments from Buddy Wayne gets Coco, gets everybody riled up. Really shouting and shoving ensues from both teams. And then I hear the words, fat slob and white boy, coming from the mouth of Coco Ware here. Tom Ernesto, and Eddie Marlin out to split the sides apart. So, get a little heated here in the studio.
Now, if I'm Billy Travis or Ron Sexton, and I'm having to have another match with Coco and Norvell, namely Coco, I'd be like, dude, lay off the racist shit. They're going to beat the fuck out of us, and you're just going to waddle around ringside and watch. Like, take it easy.
Yeah, we're just in there to work a match. Like, that wasn't part of the angle, man. Yeah. So I hate, that's cheap heat, though, when you don't really know how to talk or what to say, man. You just go to the race card. It could work in small doses, but it was absolutely unnecessary in this particular storyline. So it's just like, okay, what are we doing? As we go back again to the Mid-South Coliseum, back to July the 8th, VTR, this time the Fabs taking on the Sheepherders. Lance calls it World War III without the nuclear weapons. That's not much of a world war then, Lance, I suppose. But we do see 5 minutes of a wild pull-apart brawl. The Fabulous Ones even pulling out chains, Tennessee chains here, and they're going to be the ones disqualified. Now, I hear Lance over the speakers stating the match went 13 minutes and 45 seconds, and we get 5 minutes of it here, and it's all strictly brawling. Wild brawl here.
Yeah, I mean, to get disqualified against the Sheepherders, that's quite the statement, It's
I feel like they've done that about
to make the Fabs look like some badasses here.
I suppose, but is this not the end result for the last 17 weeks in a row, I feel like, between these two teams?
Yeah, I mean, I'm over it. I'm sure everybody is.
Do you think this is just Fabs Moondogs version 2? Like they were just trying to recapture that lightning in a bottle that they got out of those two teams?
Yeah, like they're like, well, look, there's nobody available right now that can wrestle worth a shit. So let's just find a couple of guys who believably can just go out there and brawl with them every week. And we'll just do inconclusive finishes until we know we've got another team on the way, and then they can beat the Sheepherders and they can fuck off back to New Zealand or wherever they want to go. Right. But apparently no team has shown up as of yet. And they've already, we wore out the PYT feud. We can't pivot back to that. That's why they're over here, getting talked about by Buddy Wayne and then wrestling Billy Travis and Ron Sexton. But man, I know if I was in Memphis then, I'd just be like, for the love of God, please get another tag team.
Well, they got Smithson and Adonis on the simmering on the back burner right now. We'll have to see if they come into play or not. Probably not, but we'll have to wait. So we got another team making their debut here later in the program, unfortunately. But we'll get there when we get there. Right now, we get a music video of the Fabs, going to double down on how badass they are. Morris Day and the Time with Jungle Love. After you come out of a wild brawl with chains and blood, we go to Jungle Love by the Fabs, half-naked Fabs, of course, as usual, in any video that they are featured in.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at uswapodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russel here. Lots of new stuff happening here at WrestleCopia, and I want to update you on everything going on with the brand right now. First and simple, if you haven't checked out our website at WrestleCopia.com, it's a great way to keep up with the latest episodes of all of your favorite Copia programming, from the Wrestling Memory Grenade to Regional Rasslin with the Territory Talk, the Wrestling Stoop with the legendary Bob Roop, Professor Dan Ginnity and the Pro Wrestling Academy, and all the other great podcasts from Gene Jackson, Bob Smith, Dave Dynasty, and the boys from the Other Ship. And of course, all of those programs also available at your favorite podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the Copia world, all the latest news, random thoughts, fun videos, pictures, and more, make sure to join the more than 33,000 followers over at facebook.com/WrestlingGrenade. Don't be left out. Please also follow us at the former Twitter, now X, at Wrestling Grenade, and subscribe to youtube.com/WrestlingGrenade. Would also greatly appreciate you leaving us a 5-star review at your favorite podcast apps, guys, because every positive review makes our podcasts more visible in the algorithms, if you will, which allows us to continue to grow. Now, for those who have been asking about merchandise, WrestleCopia merch, you can find plenty of designs for our t-shirts, hats, magnets, stickers, coffee mugs, and more over at the TeePublic store. That is tpublic.com/user/WrestleCopia. And last but definitely not least, it's what keeps the entire machine going. I'm talking about patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Now with 3 major tiers and tons of Patreon exclusive next level content for our supporters. Remember, guys, no subscription, cancel any time, but I think you'll like the content that we're offering there for any budget you may have. And you can sign up right now, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We appreciate your support in helping us pay the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network running and enabling us to continue to bring you all the quality programming that we offer.
Hey, it's Bob Smith, and guess what? The Outdated Wrestling Hour is now part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. But hey, no fear, you're still going to hear the unique guests, comedy, music, authors, journalists, funny people. Who knows who's going to end up on the Outdated Wrestling Hour? Remember, it's all new and all old. So check it out in the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Listen if you know what's good for you.
And we come back to the studio for tag team action featuring the fabulous ones, Stan Lane and Steve Kern, battling Billy Travis and Ron Sexton. There they are. Buddy Wayne back out once again as well, as the Fabs enter the ring to Born in the USA. The boss. We only get about a minute of action here, though, before these Sheepherders hit the ring and the brawl is on yet again.
I felt like when we come out of that Jungle Love video, Buddy Wayne was going to be standing there and go, shouldn't the PYTs be getting a video to that right there?
Oh, my God. Good God. Yeah. I'm glad that wasn't a thing, but I wouldn't have put it past him.
Thank God he didn't, because that would have been inappropriate.
That would have been very inappropriate. Yeah. Even, I'll just leave that there. So
that probably would have got, come on, buddy.
Get out of here, you fat son of a bitch.
You fat piece of shit. Come on.
You see this episode of Regional Rasslin. It's very different from all the others because we have to entertain ourselves through a lot of this right now that's going on. I promise it gets better, though, guys. So the Fabs in the ring, they go to wrestle Travis and Sexton, but instead the Sheepherders hitting the ring. They want to rekindle the brawl from Monday night at the Mid-South Coliseum. Buddy Wayne wisely yanking his boys, Travis and Sexton, out of the ring. They hightail it to the back. Meanwhile, the brawl is on around the studio, once again now between the Fabs and the Sheepherders. Steve Kern grabbing a chair, swinging that wildly. Finally going to dispatch the herders from the studio. And I wrote in my notes, well, we almost had a wrestling match in the studio this week. Of course, the first one went 90 seconds, abrupt ending, and now we get this, whatever this was.
We should have brought it back out for an 8-man tag and had the Midnight Connection and the Fabs take on Adonis, Smithson, and Travis and Sexton. And ban the Sheepherders from the studio. We could have had some fine wrestling.
Absolutely. Well, we instead of wrestling, we're going to go to another music video. Boy, they play this one right out. Jerry Jarrett and Tojo. Willie Nelson's Old Fords and a Natural Stone. I still don't get it. They've had weeks to change the song, and they've opted not to.
Jerry Jarrett must have just had a soft spot for that song or something.
Clearly.
I mean, some of those videos, the music is spot on, and we've talked about this. Some of them, you just scratch your head and they're like, "What the hell were we thinking?" And those are the ones they'll play the most.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Those are the ones we see the most. I just don't get it. But like you said, it must have been a Jarrett favorite because I don't see Tojo listening to this particular song. But I could be wrong. I don't know. We go back to the ring. Well, we saw what was a semblance of a match. It got started. It didn't really get going very far with the Fabs there. But now we get the Sheepherders out here. Jonathan Boyd and Rip Morgan battling. Tojo Yamamoto and Jerry Jarrett. Another competitive match for TV. Jonathan Boyd going to stop by the announce desk quickly to talk trash on his way to the ring, talk about the Fabs. So here we go, competitive match right in the middle of the television program, but oh shit. This one doesn't even get started, Gene. The Fabs immediately jumping Boyd and Morgan before the bell. And I didn't see that coming, though I guess I should have.
Yeah, I was like, God dang it, we got to run in. And then I start thinking of Tojo and the Sheepherders and Jerry Jarrett. I'm like, all right, that may have been the most babyface move the Fabs make on this episode, honestly. Like, yeah, good call.
This was recreated by Paulie in ECW in 1996. He did it in the arena, and I don't remember the order of which it went, but it was basically the Gangstas and the Eliminators. They hated each other. They wanted at each other. And the pawns in the story were the Bruise Brothers and I think the Samoan Gangsta Party. And they do back-to-back matches where they come out and the brawl's on, and they come out again and the brawl's on immediately. And the New Jack music plays, and we got a wild, nonstop brawl throughout the arena, and it was masterful booking. And I was like, this is the awesomest shit I've ever seen. But I see them doing it 11 years earlier here in Memphis, and it's not working for me. I guess it's got to be the teams, right? I'm just not invested in most of the teams involved in this whole thing.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. And the teams you just listed in ECW were a little closer to their primes, at least, than some of these guys, Jerry Jarrett and Tojo and Jonathan Boyd. Yeah. Jonathan Bloody Boyd, mate.
Bloody, mate. Bloody.
He's definitely, he would hang around a few more years, but boy, he was at the end of things, and Rip Morgan was so green, he didn't know what was up from down. So it's had a lot working against it.
Well, you're complaining of the teams currently here in the Memphis territory, so why don't we add another one to the mix? It's time for the debut of the masked team known as the Night Riders. Put a lot of thought into that name, taking on David Haskins and Les Freeman. And the Night Riders, best way to describe them, two bulky-looking dudes in generic black masks and singlets. One of them, a little less bulky, has a slight case of the Dutch Mantel body hair going for him. That's pretty much all I got on the Night Riders. I couldn't figure out who they were here.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried to do some Googling on them, and man, nothing. I mean, there's usually, even if I don't necessarily find out exactly who somebody is, you'll see some posts people have made.
Yeah.
Kayfabe Memories of Wrestling Classics or something. Like, there was nothing. Like, nobody cared enough to even ask about these guys in the last 30 years.
Well, typically when they bring a masked team in, it's Don Bass and Roger Smith, or at least one of the two. And this ain't neither one of those guys. And given the fact that they have no fanfare coming in, no manager, I dare say they're specifically being brought in short term to give another team someone to beat on. It's what I feel anyway. They're not very good. Very basic stuff in the ring. Bland, even sloppy, I might say. Maybe only semi-trained based on some of the things they were doing in there, but the finisher wasn't too bad. A running demolition decapitation. Poor David Haskins, talk about paying your dues, man. And I always loved Haskins, man, but he's doing the job here. 7 months into the business to the Night Riders. Match goes 2 minutes and 14 seconds.
Well, I mean, he was the poor bastard that had to wrestle Cyclops on TV too. So.
That is true.
David Haskin frequently draws the short straw here in 85. Bless his heart. He's trying, man. He's trying, but against all odds.
Well, you can only do so much when you're in there against the Night Riders, who will work the Mid-South Coliseum. We'll have to wait and see what happens with them there. But right now we continue on. We saw the debut of the Night Riders. Now we get the return of Man Mountain Link. Recently passed away Rick Link here battling David Johnson. He's back. Poor David. It's been a couple years, though, since we've seen Link, and he's now billed as the Mid-American Champion. So we pulled that back out of the drawer. Essentially, that title went vacant with the departure of Jimmy Valiant back in February. So they're reintroducing 2 titles in 2 weeks. Terry Taylor comes back, loses his international title to Hickerson. Now the Mid-American title's back, so make of that what you will. I feel like we have a Night of Champions coming soon, Gene.
We must, but all I could think of, the international title, like you said, suddenly shows up on Hickerson. Mm-hmm. And now here comes Man Mountain Link with the Mid-America title, and I thought, the best we could come up with to put the Southern Heavyweight title on was Bota the Witchdoctor. And we thought, what the problem around here is, Jerry, and you can apply that to whichever Jerry you want.
Yeah.
The problem is we don't have enough titles. Yeah, good wrestlers, that's overrated. People want to see championship matches. Even if there's shitty people in them, they want some stakes. They want to see some titles on the line. So I think that's the direction we need to go in.
Well, all the excuses you want to figure out what the problem is, we're going to see if they found the solution. According to Lance Russell here, Link is now hailing from outer Weirdsville somewhere. So the match gets going. We get a body slam and a leg drop, brother, before tossing poor David to the floor. PTSD, flashback of the Macho Man, I'm sure. David Johnson on the outside. He wants to get back in that ring as fast as possible. So Link gonna ram David back first into the ring post, then sending him back inside for the big knee drop, before walking across Johnson's chest. Oof. And by the third body slam in the match, I realized 2 things, Gene. I realized, 1, Link has a very limited repertoire. And B, I realized that David Johnson has no idea how to post on a body slam. But a big splash going to end this thing. Match goes 1 minute and 53 seconds.
And the sad thing is, he would be 10 times more believable of a champion as Bota the Witchdoctor, who's just a few inches above qualifying to be a midget wrestler almost. You know what I mean? And that's not, that's a statement because, I was shocked the first time around when Rick Link became the Southern champion and he got the push that he got. But you're like, all right, he's a big guy for Memphis standards. That's the closest thing they got to a monster right now. But why bring him in as the Mid-America champion? We ain't had a Mid-America champion, like you said, since Jimmy Valiant left. Why just roll in as Mid-America champion? And then we got 3 singles championships, and they're all on heels.
Well, maybe we can change some of that here this week on the house shows. We'll have to wait and see. Lance Russell randomly mentioning at the end of this match, by the way, that Jerry Lawler is in the hunt for the Mid-American title. That's news to me.
Oh, well.
I wonder what that means. Music video, by the way, followed up there by the King, Jerry Lawler, that Forever Young. And I'm not talking Rod Stewart either. This is Joan Baez, Forever Young, Jerry Lawler.
Yes, that's another awful one too. So I have to think if Jerry Lawler has now gotten to the hunt for the Mid-America titles, they can work with Rick Link. All of a sudden it's going to be good news, Haskins. You're going to be challenging for the Southern Heavyweight title.
Wow.
In the second match.
Yeah. I could
get ready.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see that happening. And David might have a shot, not a big shot, but maybe a shot at taking the belt. Who knows?
Taking the belt and carrying it over to somebody else the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we talked about Bota. We talked about it at the top of the program and Leslie Floyd and everything going on with all of that. So out comes Tom Branch in a suit, along with Bota the Witchdoctor, who is carrying a rat, a real live rat with him, not a possum painted up to look like a giant sewer rat. This is a legitimate rat being held and likely bitten all over the hands of Bota here. So Tom Branch out here, though, like I said, in a suit and noticeably a full head taller than our Southern Heavyweight champion, mind you. And immediately Branch brings up the mysterious disappearance of one Leslie Floyd Creatchman III. Says he never showed up to ride with Branch this past Tuesday to Louisville. So Branch went to Floyd's hotel room and he wasn't there. but his stuff was still in the room. But Leslie had... Exactly. Leslie had vanished. Poof! Nobody has seen him. Branch has never heard of a man splitting town and leaving his clothes behind because maybe it got too hot for him to handle around here in the Memphis territory. Branch stressing this twice. So I wrote, that's either really what happened. He literally left town and left his shit in his hotel room, or Tom Branch just wants to make sure he gets his daddy's bullet points in.
Yeah. I mean, well, did you see those clothes he was wearing? I'd probably leave them too. Good grief. Yeah, this was a weird way to write him off. This promo, like you said, where he was clearly doubling down on that line, whatever the hell that was supposed to, however you were supposed to perceive that.
Right.
You really had to punch that one hard, apparently. So, message received, Branch.
Well, I also learned at this point that apparently Tom Branch speaks whatever Bota speaks, because Bota, this is great, Bota the Witchdoctor loaned Tom Branch money for a private investigator to find Creatchman. A witch doctor who loans money. You can't make this shit up. Bota loaning money for a PI, man.
Yeah, I guess he pulled it out of his tights, and good Lord. I mean, I wish Richard Lee was going to manage Bota the Witchdoctor. I just imagine, my witch doctor's going to whoop y'all down there Monday night. These would be better promos.
Oh, man.
Loaned money from the witch doctor.
That's a new one. Yeah, like I said, you can't make this shit. Well, Tom Bernesto can make it up. He put it into the, I don't want to call it a script, but the bullet points given to Tom Branch out here, who is now apparently taken over managerial duties of Bota.
I'm not in charge of the WrestleCopia merch store, but perhaps a Bota's Payday Loans shirt, maybe.
Oh, there you go.
In the works.
Oh, man. Well, if I
better pay him back
every penny, like I said, with interest, or he will. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about what he has the capabilities of doing here in just a moment. If I understand Bota's gesturing during the interview here, these poofs that he's doing while he's holding the rat, I think he's implying that he has turned Floyd into this rat that Bota's holding is indeed Leslie Floyd Creatchman. So not only does he do all these magical witch doctory things, now he can turn humans into animals, including a rat. So maybe Mr. Creatchman is a rat. Are they implying? Is it symbolic? Are we saying he's a piece of garbage? Is Jerry Jarrett and crew, are they that upset that we're doing this particularly to Floyd just to quote unquote get some revenge on him for leaving town?
Is he some sort of rat and he got whacked? Like is this like a mafia reference or something here? I don't know. It's, I'm sure somebody at some point told Bota to go to Memphis for the rats. I think he misunderstood that.
That's what they meant. Yeah, he got the wrong kind of rat out here this week. But apparently, Leslie Creatchman has been turned into a rat. Only in Memphis can you say that and get away with it. As we continue on, Southern Heavyweight Champion Bota into the ring, but not immediately. He has to return the rat to its cage or wherever he puts it backstage. So Bota literally leaving the interview segment only to return moments later with his shitty tiki torch once again.
He can only hold one thing at a time.
Right. Which, by the way, just missed setting the curtains on fire by inches, running out through the curtains with a tiki torch of fire. He jogging into the ring and still getting no response again this week. Bota taking on Jim Jamison. The bell sounds, we get some choking, a little mauling, sort of a jumping sidekick here from Bota. Shitty looking fist drop, sending Jamison to what Lance calls bye-bye city. Fist drop gets the win, 1 minute and 55 seconds.
Man, we are cranking the shirts out here this week. Bye-bye City will be the biggest thing since the Suplex City shirts from Brock Lesnar a few years ago.
That's it, absolutely. So I come to the conclusion that the more Bota appears in the studio, the more they expose just how awful this shit really is. Because you can kind of get away with it when you show the Coliseum. It just feels big league. The camera's panned back a little bit. You can't really tell how small he technically is. And he just looks like another wrestler. But when you expose him here, the zoom in on the camera here of the Bota character, I just can't take him seriously.
I wish somebody would have got a picture of the big hillbilly holding Bota like a freaking teddy bear or some shit. You know what I mean? I'm sure you could just pick him up and palm him like a freaking little doll or something. He's 4 foot tall, and you got the big 8 foot tall Big John.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with the Rat moving forward. Are we going to see Leslie Floyd make another appearance as the Rat, or are we done here completely with the entire storyline of Creatchman and him maybe allegedly being turned into an animal of sorts there? Speaking of Big John, though, we do close out the show. He wasn't in the studio this week, but they're going to remind us of Big John Harris as we get a replay of his biscuits and gravy style music video there, sitting there and picking up cattle, and like you said, Jarrett and Tojo and all that good stuff. The boy from the country, courtesy of John Denver, plays us Big John Harris closing out this week's episode of TV.
Oh, Lord. We've said it a couple of times recently, like, well, it ain't going to be much worse than this. And then they keep topping themselves. And I don't know that this was the worst episode we've watched so far, but damn it, it's got to be in the top 2, 3. I mean...
Well, let's work backwards for a minute here. I'm going to scroll through my notes backwards. I just want to run some names by you, Gene. Big John Harris, Bota the Witchdoctor, Tom Branch, Man Mountain Link, the Night Riders. Those were the last several segments in a row. I didn't skip anything. And Buddy Wayne, by the way, also in his racist tirade earlier as well. But I mean, just look at the names here for the second half of the show. I mean, woof, talk about front loading as far as the fabs and names you might know, right? And then you just go into, my goodness, it's just talk about a deep dive of searching for talent. And I use that term loosely. And some of these guys, well, I mean, some of them, they probably had better careers at what Bota once upon a time, obviously. But some of these guys like Big John Harris, man, and I don't know.
I mean,
you be the judge.
So if I'm a fan that even got my free tickets to the studio and I bothered driving there, I mean, the Fabs is your only redeeming quality of this entire show, right? I mean, as far as what you saw in the studio, well, there's no one else there that anybody gave a fuck about.
Well, Jerry, I mean, we're missing 30 minutes of the program, so Jerry could have done one of his softball bits or something along those lines. It's the middle of the summer, so he's probably pushing that hard. But yeah, he's definitely not in the ring, and we're going to have to see what Jerry does at the upcoming Coliseum show to see if we can even figure out if he did anything on the TV. But all we get is a music video, it would appear, as far as the King goes. So yeah, you're right. This is your week. You get your free tickets to the studio, and it happens to be one of the weeks that it looks like the King's not even there.
Yeah, I mean, I would have rather heard him plug softball games that weren't even in my area and trim, several minutes of all the different random promos we did see this week, and let Lawler talk about softball, or he's going to be down at the video store signing autographs or whatever the hell it is he's doing. Even if I lived 100 miles from there, I'd be like, well, we got to see Lawler this week anyway.
Well, we're going to go on. We're going to look at some of the house show results over the course of the next week. We're going to move on to the later that evening, July the 13th, a doubleheader. We got 2 groups out. One of them off in Marked Tree, Arkansas at the high school, July the 13th. We have no results for that show. So we'll move on to the Nashville Fairgrounds on the 13th as well. Speedy Tall Tree battling Terry Adonis to a time limit draw. Bill Smithson over David Haskins. It's Jerry Jarrett and Tojo Yamamoto defeating the team of Ron Sexton and Billy Travis. Jerry Oski, who has not been on TV in weeks, but he scores a victory over Bota the Witchdoctor by disqualification. That's good booking right there.
Wow.
Big John Harris now making the rounds. He's out on the loop, picking up a win over Man Mountain Link. Wow, that had to be a hell of a match. Big John Harris and Man Mountain Link. And we close out the night. Jerry Lawler still making the rounds. First blood match over Tom Branch.
Good God. Man Mountain Link versus Big John Harris.
Man, this might have been a good time for Nick Lewis to come back in Nashville and see what he could do, because this ain't it right now. You know what I mean? Oh my goodness, what a card.
Who was left for the other card?
Yeah, we've seen that issue before. I often wonder sometimes. PYT likely headlined the other one, perhaps, or something along those lines. Unfortunate for them, but Well, we got no Jerry Lawler show. Those will be coming back. We've got a ton of them left for 1985. We're just a little light on the Lawler shows here moving into the summer. Somebody wasn't home on Sunday mornings, or maybe they weren't up yet. They had a little fun on Saturday night. I'm not sure, but we're going to move on to Monday at the Mid-South Coliseum, July the 15th. 9 matches on the card here tonight. Bill Smithson and Terry Adonis scoring a victory over Tommy Montana and Les Freeman. We've got Tojo Yamamoto and Jerry Jarrett defeating the Knight Riders. So there it is. We basically created a team just to give Tojo and Jarrett somebody to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you didn't want to just throw jobbers in there. I mean, you did, but you want to give them, Knight Riders, a big ass TV show at the time. What's your kind of gear do y'all got? Well, we got Black Mask Knight Rider. There you go.
Absolutely. Well, we also get a 2-on-1 handicap match. Big John Harris defeating Tom Branch and Jerry Bryant making the way into the Coliseum this week. Jerry had a little free time on his hand. What a way to come back, Jerry. Taking on Big John Harris, who scores the victory there. Norvell Austin appears to be done for the moment here in Memphis. I looked him up. I don't see any future results confirm that Norvell actually works any more shows moving forward. So it looks like Coco Ware, going to go in alone for the time being here in Memphis. And so since it was scheduled to be Coco and Norvell in singles matches against Sexton and Travis, Coco going to pick up the slack, defeat Sexton and Billy Travis in 2 separate singles matches.
Well, all right then.
Oh, yeah.
Do it, Coco.
And I bet they both paid for Buddy Wayne's comments on TV.
They did. I mean, because going into it, they'll be like, well, all right, Norvell's never too rough on us. Right. Maybe we can keep in most of the night. Oh, hey, y'all, Norvell left the territory, so we're going to do 2 singles against Coco. Billy Travis, like, oh, my God, what have I done to deserve this?
Yeah, Billy and Ron were riding to the show, sitting there arguing who was going to work Norvell, and then they get there, and neither one of them were working Norvell. Now they both got Coco, and Coco goes over in both matches. And I didn't see this one coming after last week. It only made sense to get the belt off Terry Taylor while he was available. But this week, Terry Taylor defeats Phil Hickerson for the international title. Terry Taylor, once again, the international champion.
The fuck? Okay, well, that blew that theory out of the water.
So Terry loses the belt in Jackson, but wins it back in Memphis just over a week later. Makes no sense to me. Here's another one that makes no sense. You ask, why would they bring back the Mid-American title? Well, here's your answer. Jerry the King Lawler defeats Man Mountain Link to capture the Mid-American champion. So your theory about all healed champions, that's changed immediately here. Terry Taylor and Jerry Lawler, now these, I don't want to say makeshift titles because they've been here, time and time again, but these titles that come and go, we've got champions once again.
God, why don't you just win your Southern title back? Like we're gaining nothing from having the Witch Doctor as the champion.
I don't think Jerry wants to be anywhere near that. It's like, how many weeks is Bota? I don't want to work him all those weeks. You give it to somebody else, and that's what they're going to do. This very interesting opponent here for Bota, and I wish I knew what they did on the Memphis feed to build to this one. And we'll get to there in just a minute. But first, there's a Southern Tag Team title match to talk about featuring the champion Sheepherders battling the Fabulous Ones to a double disqualification. There we go again.
Of course.
That's good booking, baby, right there. Just never give them a finish. Even when they think there has to be a finish, keep them guessing, I suppose. Double DQ. So that feud continues on as we go into the 9th match of the night. Southern Heavyweight Champion Bota the Witch Doctor in the main event, scoring a DQ win over Michael P.S. Hayes. What the fuck?
Holy shit. You about the most random shit ever.
Yeah, and no sign of Michael, because he's not working any of the other house shows. No sign of Michael on the syndicated TV there.
And meanwhile, he's losing the freaking Oski.
He
hadn't even been around.
By DQ, right.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I can't make heads or tails of it. And I don't really have any, because we don't have the 90-minute feed for this particular episode. It's really hard to gauge if they even brought a promo in from Michael Hayes or they just announced the match. I'm not really sure if we just went in completely cold. I don't know. I would have loved to have heard Michael Hayes cut a promo on Bota, though. That's for sure.
Man, you ain't kidding. Especially if he had wind of the rat promo and all that crap. He'd have had a good time with all that.
Well, we've got a doubleheader Tuesday night. They've been doing that a lot lately, a spot show and a Louisville Garden show. And I don't have anything for July 16th, Tuesday night, Madisonville, Kentucky at the Browning Springs Middle School. But we do have some results for the Louisville Gardens on July 16th. Norvell Austin was slated to take on Speedy Talltree, but Norvell is gone from the territory. So Frank Morrell coming in under the hood as the spoiler, defeating Speedy Talltree there. Then, because Frank Morrell was already scheduled to work, it's a doubleheader of the spoiler, Gene. The spoiler over David Haskins as well. What a way to kick off the night in Louisville.
Hell yeah, double Frank Morrell. That's how you do it.
Tojo Yamamoto over Phil Hickerson by DQ. Jerry Oski battling Coco Ware to a draw. Big John Harris again over Man Mountain Link. And big main event, Jerry Jarrett teaming with Jerry Lawler, the promoters, going over on Tom Branch and Bota the Witchdoctor.
Ooh, Jerry squared there. All right. I guess so you got Jerry Lawler, then you got promoter Jerry Jarrett. So you got the former referee and the guy he towers over, our champion. Good Lord.
Well, we've got another bit of result here for you guys before we bid adieu. We're going to Evansville, Indiana, July the 17th, Wednesday night. Jerry Oski over the spoiler. Phil Hickerson versus Tojo Yamamoto. I don't have results for the remainder of the show. It's the Sheepherders. They were scheduled to take on the PYT. Norvell's gone, so I'm not sure what they wind up doing with that matchup. Fabs don't want to work Evansville, apparently, though. Big John Harris, again, versus Man Mountain Link. And the main event, again, going to see Lawler and Jarrett versus Tom Branch and Bota. So some of this is lather, rinse, repeat from the Louisville Gardens. You can kind of guess who goes over. But interesting, PYT and the Sheepherders. That would have been a fun match had it actually taken place. Something different.
Yeah, would have been hard hitting at least. And, you said about the Fabs not liking Evansville. I've talked to a lot of these guys over the years, and a lot of guys did not like Evansville. They didn't like that building. They didn't like some of the fans that were there. And so that may actually be part of the reason. Who knows?
Well, they don't make the town, I don't believe anyway. So we're going to go on. I don't have results for the remainder of the week. I do know Thursday night they were in Elton, Kentucky at the Todd County High School. And Friday night, July 19th, Somerville, Tennessee, and Summer Shade, Kentucky at the elementary school on Friday night. So that's going to wrap it up for this week in the Memphis territory.
We made it through another one, Ray.
In and out in under an hour. That says a lot about what is not happening right now in the territory of the Memphis territory. And there's a lot, that we discussed. Not much of it very good. But, we're just, like you said, hanging around until it gets good again, baby.
Yeah, it will, folks. Hang in there with us. Don't completely throw in the towel on 85. It does make a bit of a comeback, if you will.
I don't
just not soon enough.
I'd be curious to know what the ratings were during this, time period with the Jarrett promotions here, because I could see some people changing the channel, and this ain't the Memphis Rasslin I grew up on. But I think it's because of the years of success that Jerry's had that they're able to keep this contract and make it through, come out the other side. We're in a lull right now. I don't know if they've ever been in a lull like this, but we're in a lull right now, but we know they will do better later on.
I just don't understand how we've let the Ernesto experiment go on this long.
And it keeps going into the fall, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think Lawler, would have been like, we got to pull the plug on this shit, Jerry. Like, we're gonna kill the whole territory at this rate. But like you said, we're not out of the weeds yet by any stretch of the imagination.
Memphis may have the truest wrestling fans of any territory ever because they hang on through all of this, right? Like you said, this could kill another territory dead. We've seen some other territories die because of really terrible booking, maybe by the same booker, even. Yeah. you could argue, but it says a lot to the Memphis fans who just kind of hung in there because they love Jerry Lawler, because they love the Fabulous Ones, because they love Lance Russell. I think, tried and true, they're still tuning in. And again, I don't know what the ratings were, but there was a lot of people that hung around and waited to see, what was the grass is greener on the other side. Let's hope. And it will be. Just hang in there with us, guys. In the meantime, there's some things we can poke fun at. And again, I do some of the comedy here to entertain myself, and hopefully, Gene, you entertain yourself too when you're coming up with some of the things we can poke fun at. In between, there's not a whole lot to touch on. I mean, if we just came in here and spoke matter-of-factly about some of this stuff, we'd be in and out of here in 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if it was just the facts, ma'am, if we were the historian types, these would be short, because it'd just be like, oh, this happened. It wasn't very good, but, it was wrestling, so we love it and we respect it, and I'll see you next week, folks. And that's all you can do is just have fun with it. But, man, there's different points in Memphis wrestling from the, early CWA days on into the USWA time period where, you might have a rough month, maybe 2, usually not that long, usually about a month to 6 weeks. And you'll see a hard reset where one Saturday morning, they just shift everything.
Right. And they realize, they realize that it needs to be done. And sometimes it's just switching from Lawler to Jarrett and booking, or Dundee or whomever may get the book. Yep. And next thing you know, they get a hot angle and boom, we're back, off to the races. Just like famously, when Robert Fuller was booking and left and took half the guys with him. And then Jerry Jarrett goes and books the Tupelo concession stand brawl, and bam, they're off to the races. And that just turned things around overnight. But man, nobody seems to be hitting the panic button here. Lawler's just like, all right, fuck it, I'll wrestle for the Mid-America title. Bring Man Mount Link in. I'll wrestle him. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't doing anything at this point, right? I mean, the territories were slowly drying up. Some of these guys were finding it harder to find legit work where they're going to be on the loop. They're going to get paid every night. And so I'm sure Link was happy to come in and work some. I don't know how long he's going to stick around, or if he's here for a week. I'm not sure. We'll find out in very short period of time here. But unfortunately, it looks like we say goodbye to Norvell Austin. Going to be curious to see what they do with Coco moving forward, because it looks like we're pivoting to a babyface turn for the PYT, or for Coco at the very least now. So we'll see what happens with Coco Ware. Of course, Jerry Lawler, the Mid-American champion. Terry Taylor, hopefully he's back again because he's the international champion. Or maybe that's a way to get rid of the belt. I don't really know what's going on. And the Southern champion's still Bota. So we'll see what happens with all those singles belts in the weeks to come here over the summer of 1985. Now, before we get going, I do want to make a quick comment in regards to all the other podcasts or regional wrestling shows that I do. Lots of great history. We go back, we do the St. Louis Project. We go back and we do the Georgia War. We're really building towards the Georgia War there right now. And even Jamie with the Georgia 82 and all the other shows that I do. We have a lot of information, right? And we come out, we discuss all the information, and we go deep diving, and we talk about it in a, I guess you could say, a serious manner, a historical manner. But here with the Memphis, when things aren't good, what can you do but have a little fun with it? And if you can't have fun with it, I don't know what else to do with it. And so that's kind of where we are right now. And I'm looking forward, when things get hot, like you said, when that angle hits, when that right star comes back, it's going to be a completely different show again, because we're going to be having fun talking about wrestling. But in the meantime, we're going to have fun with, I mean, what else can you do but have fun with some of the things that we're watching? We've got a guy being turned into a rat. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, that's all you can do is try to make it. If it's not entertaining because it's good, then you got to make the show entertaining by having fun with it. And so that's what we're doing. And, if that upsets anyone, I'm sorry, but show us a better way.
Well, I appreciate everybody who continues to listen to all the regional wrestling programs and all the great feedback that we get, and the people that reach out and go, when are you doing another episode of Memphis? I know your buddy Rob I just spoke with him the other day, and he was like, oh man, I love listening to those. My first match I ever saw in the Memphis territory when I moved there, it was Bota the Witchdoctor. And I think I said something along the lines of, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that's a great example of how, and I've heard this from different people over the years, is you kind of romanticize certain things because that's where your fandom started.
Yeah.
And the nostalgia of it and the good memories of wrestling makes it seem better than it is, but he's been saying for a long time, it's like, man, I can't wait for y'all to get to, when who comes back. And like, I listened to that interview, and I think his line was, I hope I live to see y'all finish Memphis 1985.
Yes. Yeah.
And I said, well, dude, you got to understand, we're both pretty busy, and it's hard to get motivated to go even watch that show, much less go talk about it, because it's just so damn hard to watch. Like, a guy was looking we were logging into our gimmick here that we do this show on. And I was seeing like, all right, there was 2 months between these shows. There was almost 3 months between these shows. Like, it's hard to do, but man, once we power through these, I feel like we're going to probably be like, hey man, let's get another one of those done. I want to see what's happening next type thing, you know?
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, I think back to when I first started doing Georgia 81 with Jamie. You know, I gave Dusty a hard time, baby. You know, the book of Dusty, not the performer Dusty, but Jamie came back to me and he said, and he didn't name any names, but he said there were some people that weren't happy with me having some fun with Dusty Rhodes. And again, I go back. If you guys are upset with the fact that we can have a little fun, and I love Dusty, and I'm not going to never downplay how entertaining you. I love the damn polka dot Dusty. I was 10 years old, dude. I ate that shit up. So I mean, you know, so if I can't have fun with a television program, I can't watch an episode of Saved by the Bell and point out all the nonsense that's going on, but still enjoy it at the same time. I mean, that's what wrestling is. This is all a work, guys. So let's sit back and enjoy it for what it is, you know. And that's pretty much my message for this week. You know, I know we had a little extra time here, Gene, so I wanted to do that, especially with you of all people on here. I know you kind of have the same vision as me as far as what we want to put out here. We want to put out information, but we want to entertain. And you know, we don't force the entertainment, but when it presents itself, I'm not going to ignore it either.
Absolutely. I mean, we put over the things that need to be put over, and we have fun with the stuff that, you know, and God, you know, the more Memphis I watch, the more I realize there's a lot of that all the way through. You know, 93 was like a freaking roller coaster. There was great weeks, and there was stuff that we were able to really, really put over. And then there were down times where it's like, shit, guys, we're going to have to put our working boots on to get in here and make this fun, you know? And luckily, you know, I work with two guys that's not a problem for them. They can make just about anything fun. And I've found that, you know, me and you we've sat through some of those Coliseum videos that got pretty rough there for a while, and we were still able to make those fun. That's what we do. And I think most people enjoy and appreciate that. I think those people that were bitching are going to bitch about everything. I think they're the type of people that they only have social media so they can get on there and complain about the wrestling podcast they heard, what they had for lunch, and, you know, where they got the tires changed on their car, and they're just prone to bitch. So that's fine. You can do that. There's fucking thousands of these things, man. If we're not serious, I shouldn't say this is your show, but you know, if we're not serious enough for you, then check out a different one. And by God, Ray's got 75 other fucking shows. Watch those and enjoy the seriousness and the information of them. You know, it's cool. I won't get my feelings hurt.
Well, you know, I wanted to put that out there while we had a little extra time this week on the episode. It just worked out that way. But, you know, I want to thank everybody who's listening this deep into the podcast. Obviously, you appreciate what we do here. So we certainly thank you for tuning in, and we'll have another episode coming very soon. But, Gene, before we split, of course, I want you to put over everything you got going on right now, man.
Well, over at the at RetroWrestlingArchive.club, that's where you can find everything that I've got going on. We've recently added a Power Pro review podcast. We started on April 18th, which was 28 years from the original first episode of Power Pro that started on April 18th, 1998. And we're going through week by week doing those. My buddy Rob and BT, we're having fun with that. It's the numbers are doing good, and people seem to be enjoying it. It was kind of like the same reaction I got when I started the USWA show. There was people that were like, who's going to watch a USWA show? And, you know, it's done pretty well. And there's people who said the same about Power Pro, and it's doing pretty well. I've got a lot of people messaging me going, man, I didn't get to watch that back in the day. I'm enjoying watching this show. And there's people that are just now finding the USWA 93 show, like Rob Naylor and a couple of guys are sharing it over on Twitter. And we've got a whole new crop of people that are now reaching out and watching it. So it's cool. And Rob's got this show Beyond Wrestling that you just did this week, where he's interviewing wrestlers and podcasters and promoters, whoever, you know, wrestling type people. His thing is he likes talking to wrestling folks about things other than wrestling, because when he jumped on the podcast train a year or two ago, one thing he talked to me about recently, he's like, man, I started with listening to all these shows. I listen to you and I listen to Ray Russell and this one and that one. And he's like, I don't know, you know, I enjoy the shows, but I don't know anything about you guys. I don't know your background. I don't know the context of where you're coming from. And man, I think there ought to be a show where somebody interviews you guys and learns about that. And I go, well, do you want to hear that? And he's like, yeah. I was like, then you should do that. I was like, dude, you've been a trial lawyer your entire professional career, asking questions and getting information from people and learning about, their story is what you do. And so he's done Tommy Rich, Rip Rogers, Jamie Dundee, and Conrad Thompson, and now Ray Russell. And it's getting a good reaction, and folks are enjoying it. So that's cool. We got that over there on the network, and just all kinds of fun stuff. So again, RetroWrestlingArchive.club. You can check it out there, and just trying to rein it in, because I get all these people pitching me all these ideas. Hey, you should do this.
Oh yeah, people are good for that.
Yeah, man. And then you sometimes fall into that trap, like, hey, that's fun. I think I actually want to do that. And then all of a sudden you realize, like, oh my God, I got more shows than I can research and do in a week. And you don't want to start putting out a bunch of stuff that's, like, well, this week we really didn't have time to research it. We're just kind of winging it type thing. And so I'm trying to rein that in and not go too crazy. But new job I have allows me a lot more time than what I used to have as far as working on this kind of stuff. It kind of makes it a little easier to do shows. So I'm taking advantage of that. Trying not to do it too much, though.
Well, that's very cool. Go check all of that out, guys. I know there's a lot of podcast things going, video casts, all kinds of good stuff going on over there. So check it out, and leave some feedback. Let Gene know you're enjoying the product, or let him know you're not. And tell him what you like to hear change. I'm not saying Gene's going to change anything, but at least the feedback is there. He knows you guys are out there, and we appreciate you guys. We want to hear your feedback here too on Regional Rasslin, the WrestleCopia Network, whatever you guys are a part of. And if I'd be remiss if I didn't mention on the way out of the door, patreon.com/WrestleCopia, because there's just so many damned video casts we've got going on right now, and podcasts and things specific to the Patreon world. If you guys would, please give it a try for just a month, the $5 all access tier, the VIP tier, or the ultimate tier. So we're going to wrap things up though here this week, guys. Until next time, I don't know where we're going after this one. We've got so many different projects right now, but we've got AWA coming very soon. The ESPN, we're going to have Roman Gomez part of that. He'll be back for the first time since the UWF 86. And we're also going to be kicking off the Florida 1980 project. I'm getting all my ducks in a row there. We've got several historians working on this. We've got super fans that lived the era, and we've even got some office workers that were in the Florida Territory office at the time helping me out. So we've got a lot of deep diving going on there as well. So lots going on, Gene, and I want to thank you so much for doing Memphis 85 with me. Looking forward to doing it again soon, man.
Me too, man. Thanks for having me. And man, so much cool stuff you got going on, and I'm pretty hyped about that UK show you got coming as well.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff coming. But thanks, Gene. Gene, you're welcome back here anytime. We've got other things in the works. So if you ever just say, oh, that sounds fun, you want to drop on for a week, you're always welcome here in the WrestleCopia world, as you know. And again, guys, check out everything Gene's doing, everything I'm doing, and hopefully together, kind of like a Voltron of sorts, maybe you'll find a little bit of everything you've ever wanted to hear about, and we can do that for you.